There is a plague that has been transmitted in this country for years. Many people suffer from it and don't even know it. You could be a carrier of this epidemic. Here are a few symptoms: drug abuse, dropping out of high school, imprisonment, and even suicide. It's the Father Deficiency, the most needed vitamin in America. It's also the title of a book written by Frank Stewart, providing 29 tools needed to overcome growing up without a good father. Visit fatherdeficiency.org to order your copy or call 501-329-2055.
Good morning and welcome back again to your Acts Ministry podcast. Father's Day is over, but we know the plague of fatherlessness is an epidemic we still need to fight every day of the year. June is our Father Awareness Month, so for the rest of the month of June, we will continue to go chapter by chapter in my book, Father Deficiency, giving you an overview of each chapter. I want to remind you that if you've missed a day, please feel free to go back. In the month of June, we give you all 29 chapters, plus the chapter of the introduction. So if you missed a day, feel free to go back and revisit that on our podcast. I know it will be a blessing to you. At this time, it's time to study, and we're going back into the book, Father Deficiency.
Welcome to the Words to Empower podcast, featuring Bishop Frank Stewart, pastor of the Acts Ministry in Conway and North Little Rock. And now, Pastor Stewart.
Well, today in the book Father Deficiency, as we'll continue our study to equip us and teach us how to deal with the greatest plague, I believe, that we've ever seen in this country, and that is fatherlessness / father deficiency. Now, father deficiency, as I've been telling you, is different from fatherlessness. Fatherlessness, where we have all the statistics, and you can take the statistics on that. The statistics when it's a fatherlessness, 20 times more likely to go to prison, and so on. 32 times more likely for a child to run away. That's fatherlessness. But it goes beyond that. The word that the Acts ministry coined was father deficient, which means that the father can be there but be so busy trying to provide or do what he needs to do or be there and be absent that the child still doesn't receive from the father what they really needed. So in chapter 14, 15, and 16, it's going to be chapters that are pretty much parallel chapters that you need to study in conjunction. Now, chapter number 14 is very possible the longest chapter in the book. And the name of the chapter is Destiny Markers. Destiny Markers. And when you think about a destiny marker, you think something that marks a person's destiny, or something that gives a person a signal or sign that they're going in the right direction to accomplish what they were created by God to do. I'll say that again. When you talk about destiny, it's not based on some urge that we have in our emotions, but it is the design of God, what God designed you to be. Now, when we think about that, it is good for us to remember the story of Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 1. When God says to Jeremiah, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you, and I ordained you to be a prophet to the nations. Now, there's no room for Jeremiah to do what he wants to do in his emotions, because if he follows his emotions, at the end of the day, he's going to realize that's not what he really wants. And I think many people miss this principle. God says, I will give you the desires of your heart. But most of us do not know what our hearts desire. So we reject what God is saying and we go our own way, only to realize that this doesn't satisfy me. Then we try something else, and that doesn't satisfy me. The only thing that will ever satisfy a person on the planet is what God designed him to be. So what we really want is what God designed us to be, because only then will it satisfy us. So when we think about a destiny marker, something to guide us to our destiny, something that makes us stay on track. Very long chapter, very powerful chapter. Again, I encourage you to read it, download it, and read it, the book, because you'll need all the information that is given in chapter 14 to understand it. But I'm gonna try to help us to understand when we talk about destiny markers, where that came from, that phrase, and we derived it from the book of Joshua chapter 4, first 7 verses. I'm going to start in the book of Joshua chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 1.
Stay tuned for more of Frank Stewart. And now for some special announcements.
Thanks for partnering with the Acts Ministries. We value your service and your donations. That's why we've made it easy to make contributions to support our ministry. Simply go to your web browser and click the search bar and type in actsministriesonline.org. Then click Donate Online. It's really that easy. For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242.
There is a plague that has been transmitted in this country for years. Many people suffer from it and don't even know it. You could be a carrier of this epidemic. Here are a few symptoms: drug abuse, dropping out of high school, imprisonment, and even suicide. It's the father deficiency, the most needed vitamin in America. It's also the title of a book written by Frank Stewart, providing 29 tools needed to overcome growing up without a good father. Visit fatherdeficiency.org to order your copy or call 501-329-2055.
And now, more of Pastor Frank Stewart.
I'm going to start in the book of Joshua chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, when the whole nation had finished crossing the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, choose 12 men from among the people, one from each tribe, and tell them to take up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, from right where the priest stood, and carried them over with you. Put them down at the place where you stay tonight. So Joshua called together the 12 men he appointed from the Israelites, one from each tribe, and said to them, go over before the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan. Each of you is to take up a stone on his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the Israelites, to serve as a sign among you. In the future, when your children ask you, what do these stones mean? Tell them that the flow of the Jordan was cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. These stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever. Now, that's the first 7 verses of the book of Joshua, chapter number 4. And I want to explain that and show you how we came up with the phrase destiny markers, which I believe is very, very powerful, because all of us want to accomplish our destiny, the reason, the purpose of our existence. In the story here in Joshua chapter 4, just to familiarize you with the story, maybe for those that do not know, they had to cross over the Jordan River. When they came to the Jordan River, it was flooding. And in order to cross over it, the Lord gave them a miracle. He had the priests to go with the Ark of the Covenant and step into the edge or go into the Jordan River. And when the priests went in, their feet touched the Jordan River, the river divided. It divided so the people could go across on dry land. Now we know about the Red Sea, how God divided the Red Sea. but no one had to step into the Red Sea. Moses just stretched forth his rod and the Red Sea divided. Well, the Jordan is different. The priests had to step in. They had to get wet in order for the river to divide. Once the river divided, the Israelites, the whole nation that came out of Egypt, went across the Jordan River on dry land. After they had crossed over the Jordan River, Joshua did what God had commanded him. He took 12 men, one out of each tribe, and told them to go into the Jordan River and to remove a stone that was in the bottom of the Jordan. Now, there's so much symbolism to this. There's so much information. There's so much revelation on this. You'll have to read it to understand it. You have to get all the information. It would take me hours, maybe just to try to help you to understand what God has done to make sure we arrive at our destiny. They went into the Jordan River while the priest was still standing and while the water was still cut off. They took out 12 stones, and they took these stones to the other side. And the Bible says they arranged these stones. And God says to them, now, in the future, when your children ask you, what do these stones mean? Now, that is so very, very powerful. And what God was saying to them is that I want you to transmit this to your children. Just think about that. Because when the children saw these 12 stones, it is in the very nature of a child to be inquisitive. That's very important, very important. And we have to understand that that is the way God has created children. They are inquisitive. So he knew that the children would ask the parents, how or what do these stones mean? Now, we call these destiny stones, destiny markers. What do these stones mean? When the children asked that, it gave the parents an opportunity to explain to them their God, the power of their God, to explain to them the history of what God had done miraculously in the lives of the children of Israel. Just think about that. Now, the one thing I say that is very, very important in this chapter is it is so much easier to teach a person that is inquisitive and to teach a person who wants to know something that you really want to teach them, but when they ask the question, they're already locked in. Then just think about that method. The parents are not trying to pour or force on the children something they don't want to hear. What they're doing here, what God has fixed it so, when they saw the stones, they was going to ask, what do these stones mean? Now, I'm glad they said children. They didn't say wait until they was grown or teenagers. They said children. What do these stones mean? Which means that they were supposed to start talking about the greatness of their God, about their heritage, and about the DNA that had been passed on to them. It was an opportunity for the parents to engage in a conversation with their children, a conversation that had been initiated by the children. I want you to understand that. This is not something the parents say, well, you need to know this and I want to tell you. This is something that the children saw, they was curious about, and it opened the door for the parents to explain to them. And brothers and sisters, as I say in this chapter, it is so much easier to teach a person that is inquisitive, a person that wants to know. And that's in chapter 14. So they take these stones out of the Jordan, they put them on the other side. So when the children would see them, they would ask, what do these stones mean? And the Bible says this gave them an opportunity to go back and talk about the Red Sea, how God divided the Red Sea, how God divided the Jordan, and to bring them up and help them to understand that their God was also the children God, supposed to be. They were the children of this great and awesome, magnificent one God. And in so doing, what they were doing was handing that baton off, or they was transferring the knowledge of the omnipotent God to their children. God is a master teacher. He's a master teacher. But the one thing I want you to see here is that the job of the fathers, I want you to see, is that this provoked the children to share in the history, not just of their parents, but also their history, because their history is going to impact their future. Now, let me just talk about that just a little bit when you start talking about history and future. The one thing that I tell people over and over, the power of history. If you go to the doctor, they want the history of your family. They want to know what's in your DNA. They want to ask you about your father, your mother, and other dead people that are in your family, because the history of your family will give them an advantage on how to treat you or treat you in your future. Just think about that. You got to digest that. When you go trying to get a job, they want to know past history, past employment history. If you want to go to the bank, you don't walk into the bank and say, I want to borrow some money, and they say, oh, here it is. Here's $100,000. Why don't you take it? No, there are some things they're going to need. They're going to need to know your credit history. Credit history. Because your history is important. History is the best predictor of your future. And sometimes we don't want to deal with that. We want to say just forget about my DNA, forget about everything. No, that is very, very important. It's important for us to know it, so when we see you step out of it, we know that it is the power of God that has blessed you to do that. But when we talk about destiny stones, and the word that is used here, the word stone serves as a sign. Sign in the Hebrew means a signal, an omen, a flag, or a beacon. And basically what that says is that when you see that destiny stone, it serves as a signal that you're on the right track, you're going in the right direction. It is an omen of what's getting ready to happen. It is like a flagman in the middle of the street, flagging you safely across that dangerous intersection as you're going to your destiny, the place you're trying to get to. So when we look at Destiny Stone, very long chapter in the book. Again, I encourage you to download it for a very, very small donation to download the book. I think it's about $5. Very, very small donation to download the whole book. You will receive the whole book electronically. So I hope you would do that to help us fight against the greatest epidemic, greatest plague that we've ever seen, and that is father deficiency. God bless you.
For mobile giving, text the amount you wish to donate to 501-302-4242.
The Acts Church in North Little Rock is located at 1224 Franklin Street. Morning Glory begins at 8 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Sunday school begins at 8:30 a.m. And for a powerful word, join us at 9:30 a.m. for our morning worship service. Bible study is each Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. At our Conway location, Morning Glory begins at 10 a.m. Sunday school begins at 10:30 a.m. Worship service begins at 11:30 a.m. On Thursday, our Bible class begins at 6:30 p.m. For more information, go to actsministriesonline.org or give us a call at 501-329-2055.
Thank you for tuning in to the Acts Ministry podcast. The Acts Church is located at 1423 England Street in Conway and 1224 Franklin Street in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Tune in each day to hear an inspiring word from Pastor Frank Stewart.
Well, friends, that's the end of our broadcast today. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast today. Fatherlessness and father deficiency has been one of the great passions of this ministry. Being fatherless from birth, I am a personal witness of the devastation it brings into the life of a person. With this present father crisis we are experiencing in this country now, 1/3 of all the children living in this country live in homes without fathers. That's about 15 million children. We're asking you to join this fight with us by becoming a partner. Go to our website, actsministriesonline.org. That is actsministriesonline.org, and purchase the book Father Deficiency, or purchase an electronic copy. The Bible declares that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. The book Father Deficiency will give you the knowledge and bring awareness to you so you can fight against America's greatest plague. Remember, friends, that's actsministriesonline.org. God bless you, and remember our motto at Acts Church. If you're not doing church when you leave church, you're not doing church right.
There is a plague that has been transmitted in this country for years. Many people suffer from it and don't even know it. You could be a carrier of this epidemic. Here are a few symptoms: drug abuse, dropping out of high school, imprisonment, and even suicide. It's the Father Deficiency, the most needed vitamin in America. It's also the title of a book written by Frank Stewart, providing 29 tools needed to overcome growing up without a good father. Visit fatherdeficiency.org to order your copy or call 501-329-2055.